Hello fellow Musketeers, today we're going to review our very first Pokemon game. Exciting, right? But which Pokemon game are we going to review? Because there are a ton of Pokemon games. Well, it's Pokemon Trading Card Game, which is a game based off a trading card game which is based off the video game. Gameception.
Yes, it's true. Nintendo made a game from a card game which was released in Japan 1998. But the English version was released 2 years later in 2000. The Pokemon virus was already caught with most kids at the time, and the game sold fairly well. Even I was and still am a big Pokemon fan. I also had a lot of Pokemon cards, but I didn't know how to play with them however. I just used to collect them cause they looked cool. The game starts different than most Pokemon games actually. Usually you're a kid who lives with his mother and you visit a professor and then start to travel around the world with your pocket monster. Here however, you're already on an island, which has a group of doctors instead of professors and clubs instead of gyms. On that island you need to battle other players. Kinda sounds like Battle Royale, but then with card games. You start your adventure in a laboratory and meet Dr. Mason and the rest of the professors. I mean doctors, sorry. Dr. Mason has in the artwork a card glued to his head, which I don't know why, but I hope he wasn't born with it. He explains how the card game works step by step, and after a few minutes I completely understand how it works. At the moment of speaking I'm 20 years old, and it's now this moment I finally understand how to play with these cards. The card game is actually quite simple. You start the match by laying prize cards from your deck on the table. Every time you knock an opponent's Pokemon out, you can pick a prize card to add to your hand. You draw 7 cards and choose from the cards you drew an active Pokemon card. Instead of trained Pokemon you raised at a certain level, you have cards that are already at a certain level, and you need to evolve them while playing. So if you want to play with Blastoise, you need to play Squirtle first, evolve it in the next turn in Wartortle, and then evolve it into a Blastoise. When you chose your active Pokemon, you can select other Pokemon to place on your bench. Once per turn you can add 1 energy card to your active Pokemon or benched Pokemon. These energy cards are what I like to call the fuel to let your Pokemon attack. The fuel for your Pokemon's anger. The fuel for destruction. Besides Pokemon and energy cards, you also have trainer cards that have special effects like reducing damage counters on your Pokemon and let you search certain cards in your deck, etc. Your goal in a match is to collect all the prize cards by knocking your opponent's Pokemon out, or simply when your opponent has no cards anymore or hasn't any active Pokemon to play. When you win the match you will receive old school booster packs. The goal in the game is to become the very best, like no one ever was. To play cards, oh wait. But yeah, there are 8 clubs that have all their own elements. When you defeat a club master you'll receive a medal. When collected all 8 medals you can play against the Grand Masters, which are a little like the Elite Four in the original game. Throughout the game you also have a rival that randomly pops up and challenges you for matches to test your deck. Like in original games, your end goal in this game is also collecting all the Pokemon cards. There are 228 cards to collect, which are all based off the first 3 sets that were released at that time. You can collect them by opening boosters, trading with others, and with Card Pop. Card Pop is something you can do with a friend who also has the same game. You need 2 Game Boy Colors and connect them via their infrared ports. You'll both receive an exclusive promo card then, but you can only do this once with each friend. The game plays very well and you can turn the battle animation off, but that's less cool of course. What I like the most are the original artwork that they used from the original cards, which really gives you that nostalgia feeling. The music is also great, with groovy tunes and epic battle music. Funny that instead of just saving the game by pressing save, you write in your diary. Dear diary, I played a lot of trading cards today. I hope mother and father are proud of me. Hopefully I can find a way to get off this island alive. I was thinking about collecting all the cards and build a raft with it. Good night. The game is not so hard to find. You can get a nice copy for around $4 to $9. If you have a 3DS, it's also possible to buy it on a Nintendo eShop. Fun fact by the way. Pokémon Trading Card Game was the first Pokémon game to be re-released on a Nintendo eShop. Though we at 3MTV always recommend the original game, I have to say that if you have the original cards lay around somewhere, try to also play with those, as it's more fun to play with others and not always to be glued to an electronic screen. Though you can also sell the cards and buy the game, of course! It's nice to have the game though, because you can play whenever you want and it's a lot cheaper, because you don't have to buy the actual cards. Such an hobby can become really expensive. Also it's great nostalgia feeling, cause when these cards were released, there were only 151 Pokémon. There's still one problem. Why is everybody moving their feet by the way? Can't they stand still? Do they all have to pee? Or are they all really happy and are doing the shuffle?
Every day I'm shuffling.